52% to 48%. That was how close Britain's decision to leave the European Union was on the 23rd of June 2016. The NHS has looked after Britain's health for over 70 years, and its importance has never been felt more strongly as the nation continues to battle COVID-19. May 25th, 2020, Minneapolis, USA. Police are responding to a call about a man using a counterfeit $20 note at a store. Within minutes, George Floyd will be lying motionless on the street and pronounced dead shortly after.
Home Office statistics showed that hate crimes in the UK rose by 29% in the year after the EU referendum.
Welcome back to the final part of tonight's debate. I'm Josh Kelly. I'm off down the road to Barnsley, where the Department for International Trade is running an event for businesses bracing for Brexit.
Since its inception, the NHS has relied on BAME and migrant workers in order to keep it running. But despite the heroic work they do, NHS workers are still not immune when it comes to suffering racism. As the world grappled with the murder of George Floyd, people took to the streets of cities all across the globe, sparking the biggest civil rights movement in decades. People also took to social media to protest online in a way that has never been seen before. Calls to sign petitions and for self-education consumed our online space.
Today, figures from across football are gathering here at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester to attend an event hosted by Show Racism Red Card, who for the past 23 years have used the high-profile nature of the sport to spread their message of stamping out racism across the UK.
Analysis by the Washington Post found that black Americans are 2.5 times more likely to be shot and killed by police. In the UK, during lockdown, London's Metropolitan Police carried out 22,000 stop and searches on young black men. That's 1 in every 8 young black men in London.
The University of Wales has led research into shifting social attitudes since the vote. Professor Paul Hutchins has overseen the programme in Swansea. He sat down with me to compare the data with their findings.
It's not only overt racist abuse that NHS staff are faced with. Despite making up huge chunks of the NHS workforce, black and minority ethnic workers still face huge challenges when it comes to career progression. As we recover from the initial shock of the murder of George Floyd and the protests die down, attention is turning to the lasting effects of what the world witnessed and how we, as a collective society, can finally and actually make a difference.
Coming up, over 100,000 drivers have been fined in 6 months after controversial improvements to Oxford Road.
Britain thought that our George Floyd moment was 27 years ago with the murder of Stephen Lawrence. But almost 3 decades later, the fight is still being fought. Just because Black Lives Matter is a hashtag doesn't mean that Black Lives are a trend. Police were called to the M60 near Clifton just before 10:30 p.m. last night, where a 6-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene.
Now we move on to the candidates' closing statements of the night. The candidates each have 60 seconds for the closing statements, and we'll start again with Jana.
Thank you again.
A vigil tonight organised by Michelle's mother and the children's grandmother, Sandra Lever, and members of the community will remember the 4 children, the children that she calls her little angels.
Questions have been kept under wraps until tonight, and the candidates don't know what will be asked. They'll receive questions from our studio audience, which have been randomly selected on a variety of topics affecting us all. Now let's crack on. Your 2019 University of Salford Students' Union presidential candidates are...
Joe Doherty has today's sports news now, Joe.
So all the drama kicks off when reports started emerging that Sebastian Vettel had left Ferrari after 6 years there? 5, 6 years? Something like that.
Downing Street has announced proposals that could see plastic straws and cotton buds banned from sale in England by 2020 in an attempt to protect ocean life from plastic pollution. Our environment correspondent Danielle McHugh joins us in the studio now. So Danielle, what exactly is the Prime Minister hoping to get from this proposal?
John Barnes, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Shaka Hislop, Manish Leroy Rosenia, Marsha de Cordova.
I'm in the skies above the city this afternoon, where we're seeing some moderate temperatures for this time of year.
Breaking news this afternoon, and this is the FIA have responded to the response from 7 F1 teams about the FIA's statement on Ferrari. Does that make sense? Doesn't to me. So let's start from the start.
It's pretty overcast, but what's more to be expected from Greater Manchester weather in December? Okay, so we're just going to touch on your manifestos for a second. Either your manifesto is almost entirely about the environment. So what other issues would you campaign on as SU president? We're going to be seeing some rain this evening, so if you've got any Monday night events, you're going to be wanting to take a brolly with you, because if not, I'm afraid you are going to get wet.
This statement here does not exonerate Ferrari at all. If anything, it almost implicates them.
So a second ago you mentioned about waiting times for students trying to access mental health services. So what would you do to try and cut down on these waiting times that students are facing?
The Scot took on Novak Djokovic on the hottest day of the year and drew in an audience of over 17 million viewers as he beat the 2011 champion in just 3 sets.
This is the University of Salford presidential election debate. Use the hashtag SUPED2019. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
In 2018, World Cup fever properly took over the nation as Gareth Southgate's men competed in England's most successful World Cup campaign since 1990. For weeks, England's success and hot temperatures united the nation, taking everyone's minds off a certain topic.
Voting is open until tomorrow at 4 p.m, so make sure to vote for your next president. Voting is also open for all other voluntary positions within the university.
Tomorrow morning, it's going to be a chilly commute for you, so make sure you're wrapping up warm. It's going to be great. It's going to be pretty miserable.
Events such as Super Saturday brought in record viewing figures for the BBC and saw a massive medal haul by Team GB. The opening and closing ceremony saw the Queen moonlight as a Bond girl and a reunion for the Spice Girls.
As we move into the later stages of the week, there's a high chance of some frost, ice and snow. So make sure you're getting the de-icer in now if you're a motorist, because come Friday morning, you're not going to be going anywhere in a hurry.